Call the meeting to order. This is the regularly scheduled meeting of the Complaint Committee of the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force for Tuesday, November 10th, 2009. Chris, would you call the roll, please?
Yes, Mr. Chair. Member Goldman?
Here.
Member Goldman present. Member Johnson? Member Johnson excused. Member Gneba? Here. Member Gneba present. Mr. Chair, there is a quorum.
Thank you. Any agenda changes? Chris?
There are no agenda changes to my knowledge.
Anything from the body? Okay. Could you call item 1, please?
Item number 1 is the approval of minutes of October 13, 2009, regular meeting.
I just have, on the minutes, I just have some non-substantive corrections I want to have made. I'll just give those to you, Chris, and then you can take it from there.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Is there any public comment on the minutes from our last meeting? Do you have anything? No? Okay. I would entertain a motion to...
Mr. Chair, I move that we accept the minutes amended.
I'll second that. Would you call it, please?
On the minutes, Mr. Gneba,
Aye.
Gneba, aye. Member Johnson excused. Member Goldman?
Aye.
Member Goldman, aye.
Okay.
Mr. Chair, there are 2 ayes.
Very good. Would you call item 2, please?
Item number 2 is the determination of jurisdiction on complaint filed by Emma Lawrence against the Municipal Transportation Agency for allegedly canceling meetings regarding taxi matters.
Okay. Is the complainant here? Will you please approach and state your case? This is on jurisdiction of the item.
Commissioners, good afternoon. My name is Emil Lawrence. I've been a taxi driver for 10 years in San Francisco. I'm also on the Civil Service Administrative Registry for 8 different positions in this city with scores of 1,015 to 1,060 for administrative analysts 1820 through 1826. These issues are related to the San Francisco Taxi Commission, also the Municipal Transportation Authority, where I've applied up to 30 jobs to show what my background is in the transportation business and the city and county of San Francisco. Over the past 5 years, I've been very vocal for cab driver issues, particularly cab drivers that do not own any part of management of any taxi firm or any medallion whatsoever. That medallion holders sit on the taxi boards and virtually control the business. I've been very vocal at MTA meetings on this behalf. Since March 1st of this year, the MTA has shunted all taxi-related issues to background formats at their agency at a inappropriate time without announcing any of this to any taxi drivers. There are 5,000 licensed taxi drivers in the city and county of San Francisco, even though there are only 1,500 cabs on the street of San Francisco at any given time. There are approximately 5,000 licensed drivers that do not own medallions, that own no part of the industry. These drivers have no say, and I'm one of them, in any part of their livelihood, which relates to health, wealth, benefits, any issue related to grievance procedures of being hired, fired, deposits. And since March 1st, when the Taxi Commission was absorbed by the Municipal Transportation Authority, all these issues that used to be discussed at the San Francisco Taxi Commission have now been relegated to side issues that you can get together and call me up, maybe we'll discuss it, or we're going to have some meeting somewhere and talk about it, only to find out that the MTA director meets constantly with cab company owners in her office, not in a public format, and with medallion holders in her office, not in a public format, only to come up with issues never placed on any format that are part of her agenda. And I bring it up to case that we've had 3 taxi directors in the past 5 years. The position called for a administrative analyst from the Civil Service Registry. Mayor Gavin Newsom bumped those and put an attorney of his choice from in their office. And every time that attorney came in, from Heidi Macon to Jordana Thigpen and now Ms. Christine Hayashi, they revamped all the rules and regulations that taxi drivers had to abide by, which made the cost of doing business higher and higher and higher. And I bring this to your attention because a taxi driver in this city, unless he owns a medallion, bless you, makes $7 to $9 an hour in this city with no benefits whatsoever. He can be fired by any firm. He can be kicked out of the business based on whatever the issue is. And these are issues that I brought up before the Taxi Commission up to March, and now they are almost non-issues, that they're not discussed. They're not brought up, and they're shunted to some lower level meeting. If you take the last number of months, or last 4 months of MTA hearing sheets, you will see public access on taxi issues has dropped almost to zero. It's not even discussed anymore. And then when you ask about an issue, they tell you it's on the web page. Look at it. There's no discussion. The public forum discussion is now related to MTA issues, and they do have enough issues at the MTA to be discussed on a regular basis. But now there's zero transparency on any taxi issues, and are formulating policy without considering any of the drivers. And it's becoming pervasive on a weekly basis. Two is that over the last number of months now that they have canceled meetings when there were direct issues to be discussed related to taxi events and other events without proper protocol, without notifying City Hall or the Sheriff's Department. People would show up, look on the door, there's no cancellation at room 400, there's no cancellation of notices listed down and the sheriff at the front door. People are wandering around, and then someone says, well, they canceled, it was on the website, and only to find out it wasn't on the website until the last day. And it's being done, I believe, on a premeditated course to stop taxi drivers from complaining about their livelihood. And I can say this, and I have no facts to believe, but I have personally been shunted by Mayor Gavin Newsom for 4.5 years from various jobs. I've applied for 30 positions at the MTA since 2005. 22 related to administrative analysts, 1820 to 1824, where the final conclusion was not even a letter back from them. I applied for 3 taxi director jobs where I was listed as #1 by the Civil Service Commission because the jobs were listed somebody with an MBA in finance or corporate accounting, somebody with a background in finance and accounting, and someone with an extensive taxi background that's in the business right now, only to find out every time a lawyer popped up with no background in the taxi business. 2, with no accounting background, and 3 is that the previous one, Heidi Macon, had picked her partner, friend, lover, whatever, who was also a convicted felon to be the auditor.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you.
Is the respondent agency here? No, the respondent agency is not here. Open up to questions from the body.
So, looking over your complaint, you brought up more in your statement here than what I've read in this complaint. Talking about improperly canceled meetings. I don't see any documentation about that. Do you have information about this, like improperly canceled
Well,
meetings?
I saw the notice that said to supply everything by November 17th. I didn't believe I had to supply anything for the hearing because I didn't believe any of the MTA people would be here for the hearing, but I have probably up to 30 documents that I can supply that have been given to the MTA over the past 4 years, not the MTA, between the Taxi Commission, and probably 6 to 8 to the MTA in the past 7 months that they have not even responded to, not even a letter back on it, on any issue whatsoever. And one of those issues, or 2 of those issues, relates to their inappropriate time and changing of their format, and also taxi-related issues that affect drivers, of which no response whatsoever.
Okay. What I saw, because we have a replacement form, and I didn't actually see. I looked at the thing. I looked through it for the trial. Okay, that's all I have.
What I need to hear from you in order for me to move this forward is a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. I'm not hearing that yet. I'm hearing that you have a beef with the Taxi Commission, the MTA. You've applied for a lot of jobs and not gotten them, but I can't find jurisdiction on something where there isn't a violation of the Sunshine Ordinance. Can you point out how the Sunshine Ordinance has been violated to me?
Well, I can read from Article 2 on public access to meetings. If you don't announce anything on the agenda related to part of your commission, there's going to be no public access from that group. Completely ostracism under ancient Greek laws is that by not having any item on the agenda, nobody shows up.
Yes, I understand that, sir, but we can't force the MTA to put something on their agenda. You understand that's outside our purview. So by complaining to us about them not putting something on their agenda, that's not a Sunshine Ordinance complaint.
Well, let me put it this way. There are only 2,500 Muni drivers in this city. There are 5,000 to 7,000 registered taxi drivers. There are no issues about the taxi industry now on the Muni's agenda, even though there's the number of drivers that drive taxis are twice as great as Muni drivers.
Okay, that's an
And I don't-
interesting fact, but that's not a sunshine complaint. You understand? So these are issues that you have, and I understand that. And they need to be addressed in some way.
Absolutely.
But what I'm not hearing is a violation of the sunshine ordinance. So this complaint, it doesn't rise to the level of something that I can move forward. You see what I'm saying?
I don't really follow the logic there. I can accept the logic, but I don't follow it because if they're open to the public and a certain part of the public is part of their jurisdiction and they have no items on their agenda related to that part of the public or part of their commission, which is supposed to be responsible for.
That means that they don't have anything on the agenda that time.
No, we used to have at the Taxi Commission on a regular basis between 6 and 8 hours a month on taxi-related issues, between 10 and 20.
I got that.
Now there are none.
Well, I think what we need to see is, in some way, this pointing to a specific sunshine issue. If they're not having meetings, and you have that complaint, if they are not properly agendizing what they are talking about, we can see that. And if they're not properly informing the public about changes to the agenda or changes to meetings, we can see that. But other than that, this from what you've supplied us, it seems out of our jurisdiction, out of our purview as the Sunshine Ordinance Task Force.
So for instance, you had said that they didn't post notice that the meeting was canceled.
That's right on
Okay,
a
so
minimum.
what I want you to do is amend your complaint with that as your complaint, that they canceled the meeting and didn't tell the public. Okay?
That would be-
That's something that we can work with. But just to say they're not agendizing anything for taxi drivers, but that's not a sunshine complaint. You see what I'm saying? This is a very specific body of law.
All right, I can do that. I can amend my complaint to deal with the protocol involved with cancellations.
Right, because that is something that's affecting the public's right to hear these hearings, right? So that's important. That comes under sunshine.
Mr. Goldman, I
But
understand that. Yeah.
what is on their agenda is out of our purview. Whether or not this body, these people or those people are being spoken about on a particular agenda, we can't control that. Nobody can control that. You see?
Other way you're saying, if they, on a premeditated basis, do not have any taxi issues on their agenda, even though they now control the taxi industry, that isn't a violation of the Sunshine Act.
No.
You would need to speak to their board maybe and talk to them about that. That's without, I mean, I don't want to push any
Well, I'm
direction.
not-
No, I already have. I brought it up.
Okay.
They don't answer any questions. They just stonewall it, and that's the way it is.
I mean, I would explore how things get on their agenda, whether or not a member of the public can bring something on their agenda, if it's members only can put something on their agenda, but it's outside of what we do.
Yes.
No, I've asked them in at least a dozen letters, and it's just nothing. Nothing. I get no response to the letter, and I get nothing on the agenda, and it's if it never happened.
Right. Right, which is a situation, but
politics.
not one that we can do anything
Yeah.
about. Yeah. So we can help you with the lack of access to a meeting and the non-disclosure of the cancellation of a meeting.
But
So that's why I say I would ask you to amend your complaint.
All right, I can amend the complaint, and would I amend it also for the date for 2 weeks from today, or would we have a whole new schedule again?
Hold your schedule again.
Okay.
Yeah. So back to Chris with a new complaint. Yeah.
All right, well, one last question then is that if I'm going to look for violations of the Sunshine Ordinance Act, would we combine them with both the Brown Act and the Sunshine
Yeah.
Act in the same?
Totally. To use the
Okay.
vernacular. Yes.
All right, Commissioner, I thank you for your time. I will amend the
our
complaint for the protocol on that and be back to you in 10 days with my response.
Okay, very good.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for coming down. Pardon?
public comment now.
Public comment on this item?
Thank you very much. Good afternoon. David Pilpel, a member of the public. Saw this item and wanted to weigh in a little bit. I think that the committee has correctly seen it, that There is not a facial allegation. I believe the city attorney's jurisdiction letter is correct that there is no jurisdiction at this time with respect to the allegations made by Mr. Lawrence. Just as some background, Mr. Lawrence is correct that the Taxi Commission did exist until March 1st and dealt with taxi matters in a certain way. When that authority was transferred to the Municipal Transportation Agency, they have chosen a different manner in which to regulate the taxi industry. I would distinguish between regulation of the taxi industry and operation of the Muni Railway and the Department of Parking and Traffic, where they have operational responsibility as opposed to a regulatory authority, and they've chosen to exercise that regulatory authority in a different manner than the Taxi Commission. They have, since March 1st, in fact, even prior to March 1st, heard a number of taxi-related items that addressed largely how to regulate the industry by amendments to the Transportation Code, Division 2, in various ways, as Mr. Lawrence and others have testified. Further, Mr. Lawrence is a regular attendee at MTA board meetings, as am I. Mr. Lawrence is a rather strong and vociferous and a good person under public comment, both under taxi matters and general matters. And fundamentally, I think that the disagreements that Mr. Lawrence has with the MTA are, in fact, policy disagreements. He's articulated them before the MTA board a number of times. They don't generally engage, they really don't engage in give and take. They take public comment and as they're required to. Mr. Lawrence may not like the policy outcomes. I often don't like the policy outcomes, but that's not the role of the task force to adjudicate or the role of the ordinance. So I just wanted to relate those items so that it's clear if Mr. Lawrence is looking for violations, that he's better to look at the text of the Brown Act and the Sunshine Ordinance. And just finally, with respect to meeting cancellations, I believe Ms. Boomer's second response letter that you received referred to canceled meetings of the Policy and Governance Committee. I believe that those cancellations were made and notices issued properly, and that's not a final decision-making body. It's a committee of the MTA board, and so I don't really think that there are violations there. Again, I think that the concerns are best addressed as policy concerns during public comment or in communications with which Mr. Lawrence has regularly with the MTA as an agency. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any other members of the public wish to comment on this item? Seeing none?
Well, in light of what we've heard and what we've seen, I move that we do not find jurisdiction on this matter.
Or we can just not take action.
No action.
Just no action. Yeah. Okay. Call the next item, please, Chris.
Item number 3 is the administrator's report. Mr. Chair, I do not have any other items to add to besides the
Okay. Well, any public comment on the administrator's report? I thought they'd be lining up for that. Would you call item 4, please?
Item 4 is public comment on items not listed on the agenda.
Any members of the public wish to comment on items not listed on the agenda? Seeing none?
Item number 5 is announcements, comments, questions, and future agenda items from committee members.
Sir? Councilor?
Mr. Chairman, Jerry Three with the City Attorney's Office. I just wanted to take the opportunity to introduce the Deputy City Attorney who will be something of second chair to me in case I'm not able to be here and will capably represent you. And that's Frank Brassi sitting here in the audience. Hi.
Nice to
Thanks
meet
for
you.
coming down.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? I would entertain a motion.
I move we adjourn.
Second, by rising vote. Thank you very much.